Honey, why aren't you living in the house I gave you? My mother asked, surprised, as she visited us in my mother-in-law's cramped old apartment. My husband gave that house to his sister. Your stupid daughter didn't deserve it, my husband brazenly declared. My mother paused for just a few seconds, then delivered a response that left even me stunned. But before I begin, I'd like to ask you to like and subscribe. Thank you, and enjoy the story. Alina stared at the documents, unable to believe her eyes. A deed of gift. Her house, a gift from her mother, was now registered in Christina's name, her sister-in-law who had been acting like the owner for the past year. Her hands trembled so badly that the papers rustled. "How dare you?" she whispered, lifting her eyes to her husband. Dmitri sat across from her, sprawled on the couch, smirking. "I dared. And what are you going to do about it?" Behind him stood Linda, her mother-in-law, her face expressing complete satisfaction. Christina sat in an armchair, painting her nails, not even glancing toward her sister-in-law, as if it wasn't her house that had just been transferred. "This is illegal," Alina said louder. "The house was registered in my name. You had no right." "I had every right. You're my wife. Everything you have is ours, community property. I simply disposed of our jointly acquired assets." Dmitri stood up and moved closer. "Besides, my sister deserves this house more than you do. She's blood, and you're just a wife. Wives come and go." Linda nodded approvingly. "That's right, son. No need for outsiders to be giving orders here. We're family, and we should own everything." Alina backed toward the door. She needed to leave immediately. Call her mother, call the police, call a lawyer. This was fraud, her house, her property. But Dmitri blocked her way. "Where do you think you're going?" "To my mother, to tell her what you've done." "You're not telling anyone anything." He grabbed her arm and squeezed hard. "If you say a word to anyone, you'll regret it. You'll regret it very much." Just a year and a half ago, everything had been completely different. Back then, Alina worked as a receptionist at a beauty salon on the outskirts of town. Her salary was modest, $100 a month, but it covered her studio apartment rent and food. She lived alone. Her mother was in another city running her business. Valentina owned a small but successful company selling medical equipment. She was always busy. They talked once a week, no more. Alina had grown accustomed to independence since her teenage years. The day she met Dmitri started badly. She overslept, rushed out of the house without makeup, hurrying to the subway. She slipped on the steps and fell. The contents of her purse scattered down the stairs. Phone, wallet, makeup bag, keys. Everything rolled downward. Alina sat there, rubbing her bruised knee, ready to cry. "Wait, I'll help," came a man's voice. A tall guy with light hair knelt beside her, began collecting her things, and smiled. "Are you hurt?" "I don't think so. Thank you so much." Alina accepted her bag and stood up. Her knee hurt, but it was bearable. "Where are you headed?" "I'll walk you there in case you fall again." She wanted to refuse, but he seemed so sincere that she agreed. Dmitri, as he introduced himself, walked her to the subway exit and asked for her number. Alina gave it without thinking twice. Something about him inspired trust. An open face, kind eyes, straightforward speech. He called that same evening and suggested meeting on the weekend. Alina agreed. Their first date was at an ordinary cafe. Nothing special, but pleasant. Dmitri worked as a design engineer at a small factory, earning $3,300 a month. He lived in a rented apartment with a friend, talked about work with humor, showed interest in her life, and didn't interrupt. For the first time in a long while, Alina felt comfortable. 8 months had passed since her last breakup, and she'd begun to think nobody wanted her. They started meeting twice a week, then more often. Dmitri gave inexpensive but thoughtful gifts, a bouquet of wildflowers, a book she'd wanted to read. He'd pick her up after work, even when it was out of his way. Alina was gradually falling in love. Not passionately, not madly, but warmly, reliably. He seemed like the very person with whom she could build a future. After 4 months, Dmitri suggested meeting his family. Mom wants to see you and my sister too. I've told them a lot about you. Alina was nervous. Meeting a boyfriend's parents is always stressful, but there was no getting around it. Linda lived in a 2-bedroom apartment on the 5th floor of an old building. The elevator was broken. Alina climbed the stairs holding a cake, repeating to herself, "Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine." The door was opened by a heavy-set woman in her early 50s with dyed red hair and a hard gaze. "So you're the one. Come in." Not hello, not nice to meet you. Just come in. The apartment smelled of fried onions and something sour. The wallpaper was old. The furniture was dated. From another room emerged a girl in her mid-20s, a striking blonde in tight jeans and a tank top. "Hi, you're Alina? I'm Christina, Dmitri's sister." They sat down at the table. Linda immediately began interrogating her. "Where do you work? How much do they pay you? Do you have parents? Do you own an apartment?" The questions came one after another, as if this were a job interview. Alina answered honestly about the beauty salon, her modest salary, her mother in another city, her rented studio. Linda grunted. "Well, that's all right. The main thing is that you love my boy." Christina spent the entire evening on her phone, only looking up once to ask, "Do you have a car?" "No." "A license?" "No." "I see." And she went back to her screen. After dinner, Dmitri walked Alina to the subway. "So, did you like my family?" Alina lied. "Yes, they're nice." In reality, she was left with an unpleasant feeling. Her mother-in-law seemed cold, her sister arrogant, but she chalked it up to first impressions. Maybe they were just sizing her up? Another 4 months passed. Dmitri started hinting at marriage. "Alina, let's get married. I'm tired of bouncing around rented places. I want a real family." Alina thought about it. On one hand, they'd only known each other 8 months, not long. On the other hand, he was good and reliable, and she was tired of being alone. "Okay, let's do it." She called her mother to tell her. Valentina responded coolly. "Are you sure, honey? Isn't it too soon?" "Mom, I'm 24 years old. If not now, then when?" Her mother sighed. "All right, when's the wedding?" "I'll fly out." They had the wedding 2 months later, a small affair with about 35 guests. They rented a banquet hall at a restaurant. Dmitri paid for half the expenses, Alina for the other half. Valentina sent money for the dress and jewelry. Her mother flew in the day before the wedding. Alina met her at the airport. They hugged. Valentina looked younger than her 52 years, fit, in a strict business suit, with the cool demeanor of a successful businesswoman. "So, are you going to show me the groom?" They met at a cafe, the 3 of them. Dmitri tried to make an impression, talking about work, their plans, how they would live. Valentina listened, nodded, asked questions. Her face was impenetrable. When Dmitri stepped out to smoke, her mother looked at her daughter. "Do you love him? Really love him?" "Yes, Mom." Valentina said nothing, but Alina noticed a shadow of doubt in her eyes. The wedding went well. The guests had fun. Dmitri was attentive. Linda beamed. Christina showed up in a revealing dress with a neckline down to her navel, spending the entire evening taking photos. Valentina kept to herself, politely conversing with guests but showing no particular enthusiasm. Then came the gift. As the celebration was winding down, Valentina asked everyone to be quiet, stood up and raised her glass. "Dear newlyweds, I want to give you a gift. Alina, I know you've always dreamed of your own home, and I'm happy to announce that your dream has come true." She pulled an envelope from her purse and handed it to her daughter. Alina opened it. Documents, a deed for a house, address in the suburbs, 2,800 square feet, 3 stories, registered in her name. The room fell silent, then erupted in applause. Alina looked at the papers, unable to believe it. Mom, is this real? Absolutely. I bought this house 2 years ago as an investment. I was going to sell it, but I decided it would be better to give it to you. The house is renovated and furnished. You can move in right away. Dmitri grabbed the documents, reading and rereading them. His face flushed with excitement. This is incredible. Thank you so much, Valentina. He hugged his mother-in-law, then his wife. Alina, do you hear this? We have a house. Our own house. Linda rushed over, kissing Valentina profusely. Oh, how kind you are, how generous. Thank you, thank you. Our children will live well now. Christina stood off to the side, her face showing open displeasure. No, not displeasure. Envy. Black, caustic envy. Alina approached her mother and hugged her. Mom, this is too much. I didn't expect this. You're my only daughter. I want you to live well. But promise me one thing. If anything goes wrong, if there are problems, call me immediately. Don't stay silent. Okay, Mom. I promise. After the wedding, Valentina flew back. Business couldn't wait. Alina and Dmitri went to see the house, and it was beautiful. A 3-story brick house with a sloped roof, a 1/4-acre lot, fence gate. The first floor had a large living room, kitchen, dining room, and bathroom. The second floor had 4 bedrooms and a bathroom. The third floor was an attic with huge windows, plus a basement and garage. Everything was renovated and furnished. Just move in and live. Alina walked through the rooms, unable to believe it was all hers now. Dmitri hugged and kissed her. I'm so lucky to have you, Alina. And your mother. We'll live like real people now. The first 2 weeks were happy. They settled in, bought little things for the house, invited friends over. Dmitri came home from work content, hugging his wife. They cooked dinner together. Everything was good. Alina thought she'd finally found her happiness. But happiness didn't last long. In the 3rd week, Linda came over. Son, will you show me the house? I want to see where you've settled. Dmitri happily gave her a tour. His mother walked through the rooms, touching everything, looking in closets. This room needs to be redone. The wallpaper is so gloomy, and the dishes in the kitchen are inconvenient. Better to buy different ones. Alina said nothing. She thought her mother-in-law was just concerned for her son, wanting to help with advice. Linda left that evening, but came back the next day. She brought a pot of borscht. This will last my boy a week. You don't know how to cook anyway. Alina tried to object. I know how to cook. Her mother-in-law grimaced. Well, my Dmitri is picky. He doesn't eat just anything. By the end of the first month, Linda was coming 3 or 4 times a week. She'd bring food, clean, rearrange things. Alina tried to say she could manage on her own, but her mother-in-law brushed her off. Oh, come on. I'm helping. Or do you not need help? When Alina made timid complaints to her husband, Dmitri responded, Come on, my mother is trying to help. She wants to help. Why are you finding fault with her? Then Linda started staying on weekends. Son, it's so lonely in my apartment. Can I stay the night with you? Of course, Mom. Make yourself at home. She took one of the bedrooms on the 2nd floor, the one with the best view. Alina wanted to suggest a different, smaller room, but didn't dare. She was afraid of a conflict. By the end of the 2nd month, Linda had practically moved into the house. She'd arrive on Friday, leave on Monday, sometimes staying the entire week. She acted like the owner, taking charge in the kitchen, telling Alina what to do and how to do it. The soup is too salty. My boy doesn't like salty food. You didn't mop the floors well. There are spots over there. Why did you open the window? There's a draft. My boy will catch cold. Alina gritted her teeth and stayed silent. She told herself it was temporary. Soon her mother-in-law would get tired of hanging around here and go back home. But Linda didn't leave. Moreover, she brought Christina. The girl is all alone. Can she come visit sometimes? Dmitri, of course, didn't object. Sure, let her come. Christina started coming by on weekends. She'd arrive with girlfriends and throw parties in the living room. Music blaring, laughter, whiskey. Alina would come home from work to find the house full of strangers. Christina, could you have let me know? Why? Dmitri knew. He didn't tell me. Well, sorry. I'll mention it next time. But next time, she didn't mention it either. By the third month, Linda had stopped leaving altogether. Son, it's more comfortable for me here than in my apartment. You don't mind, do you? Of course not, Mom. Live here as long as you want. Alina tried to talk to her husband privately. Dmitri, maybe your mom could go home sometimes? It's getting a bit awkward. Dmitri frowned. What's awkward? She's my mother. She has every right to live with us. But the house is registered in my name. He looked at her as if she'd said something obscene. So what? You're my wife, which means the house is ours, and my family has every right to be here. But I wanted... Enough, he barked. You don't appreciate how my mother helps us? Ungrateful. Alina backed down. For the first time, she saw her husband so angry, so harsh, and she was frightened. From that day on, Linda completely settled into the house. She'd get up early, make breakfast, but only for her son. For Alina, she'd leave scraps or nothing at all. You're not a child. Make it yourself. She took charge everywhere. In the kitchen, in the living room, even in the newlywed's bedroom. She could walk in without knocking, start cleaning, moving things around. There's a mess here. I tidied up. The criticism was constant. The windows are dirty, wash them. You hung the laundry wrong. It won't dry like that. Dinner is tasteless. My boy won't eat it. Dmitri supported his mother in everything. If Alina tried to object, he'd snap, Mother is right. You really do clean poorly. Why don't you listen to her? She's trying to help. Alina began to grow tired. She worked from 8 to 6, came home, and there was her mother-in-law with complaints. She had to redo the cleaning, rewash the dishes, re-iron the laundry, all while being criticized. That's the right way to do it, not how you were doing it. For months after the wedding, Christina announced she wanted to live in the house. Brother, can I take the attic? It's just sitting empty, and I have nowhere to live. Rent is so expensive. Dmitri agreed immediately. Of course, live here as long as you want. Alina was furious. Could you at least have asked me? Why? She's my sister. But it's my house. Stop saying it's your house already. We're married. Everything is ours. Christina moved into the 3rd floor and settled in like she owned the place. She'd occupy the bathroom for 2 hours, scatter her things throughout the house, bring friends and boyfriends over. Once, Alina walked into her own living room and found 4 strange men drinking beer and watching football. Christina, who are these people? My friends. So what? You could have let me know. Oh, come on. The house is big. There's room for everyone. Dmitri once again took his sister's side. Alina, what's the problem? She needs somewhere to host people. We have plenty of space. 6 months passed. Alina had become a servant in her own home. She worked, cleaned, cooked, did laundry. Meanwhile, Dmitri, his mother, and his sister lived in comfort, never even saying thank you. Dmitri had changed. He was rude and indifferent. He'd come home from work, collapse on the couch, and stare at his phone. He'd answer questions with one word. How was work? Fine. Want to go for a walk tonight? I'm tired. Leave me alone. If Alina asked him to help around the house, he'd snap, You're home all day. How hard is it to wash the dishes? I'm not home all day. I work. Oh, please. At a beauty salon. What kind of work is that? Painting nails and chatting. Then came the financial demands. Linda said at dinner, Alina dear, I need money for medication. Can you give me $1,250? Alina was taken aback. I don't have that kind of money. What do you mean you don't have it? You work. I spend everything on utilities. The bills for the house are huge. Well, save up or ask your rich mother. Dmitri supported his mother. Alina, just give Mom the money. She really needs it. Can't you give it to her? My salary is small. I spend it on gas and helping with food. Alina gave her the money, borrowed it from a friend. Linda took the bills without gratitude, as if it were her due. A week later, she asked for more. Then again, Christina also started begging. Alina, give me $250 for a dress. I don't have it. Oh, come on. You're such a miser. Your mother is rich. Alina took on a second job, evenings at a fitness club as a receptionist. She worked from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the salon, then 7 to 10 p.m. at the club. She'd crawl home exhausted. Dmitri didn't even ask where she'd been. Linda would greet her with complaints. You didn't make dinner. My boy had to fry himself an egg. What kind of wife are you if you can't even feed your husband? I'm not his mother, Alina blurted out. Her mother-in-law narrowed her eyes. What did you say? Nothing. Repeat it. I said I'm his wife, not his mother, and he can cook for himself. Linda stood up and came close. Remember this, girl. As long as you live in this house, you'll do what I say. Understand? This is my house. Yours. Her mother-in-law laughed. What do you mean yours? You're nobody here. Just Dmitri's wife. And wives come and go. Alina wanted to respond, but then Dmitri walked in. What's going on here? Your little wife is being rude to me, his mother complained. Dmitri looked at Alina. Are you being rude to my mother? I'm not being rude. I just... Shut up. Apologize to her. Now. Alina stayed silent. Dmitri stepped closer. I said apologize. No. He grabbed her arm and squeezed. It hurt. Apologize. Let go. Apologize, I said. Alina jerked free and ran to the wall. A bruise was already forming on her arm. Dmitri looked at her coldly. Next time I won't let go. Remember that. Linda stood with her arms crossed, smiling. From that day on, Alina understood she was trapped. Her husband was hitting her. His family had taken over the house, and she was alone against 3 of them. She tried calling her mother, but couldn't tell the truth. She was too ashamed to admit she'd made a mistake, married the wrong person, that her life had become a nightmare. Valentina would call every 2 weeks. How are you, honey? Fine, Mom. Do you like the house? Yes, very much. Dmitri is doing great at work. Lies. All lies. But Alina couldn't tell the truth. She was too afraid. A year passed. Alina had lost weight, become gaunt. She had constant dark circles under her eyes. Not from beatings. Dmitri hit her rarely, only when she especially angered him. The circles were from lack of sleep, exhaustion, stress. She worked 2 jobs, paid all the bills for the house, bought the food. Meanwhile, Dmitri, Linda, and Christina lived off her. They barely worked, didn't help, only demanded. Alina, buy me new shoes. Alina, give me money for gas. Alina, make borscht. My boy loves it. Demands, demands. Then came what finally broke her. One evening, Alina came home later than usual. She'd been delayed at the club, helping with equipment. She arrived at 10 p.m. The house was lit up, voices could be heard. She walked in and saw Dmitri, his mother, and Christina sitting in the living room. Documents were on the table. Dmitri looked up and saw his wife. Oh, you're here. Sit down. Let's talk. Alina grew wary. What happened? Sit down, I said. She sat on the edge of the couch. Dmitri pulled papers from a folder and placed them in front of her. Here, look at this. Alina picked up the documents. A deed of gift. The house, her house, was now registered in Christina's name. The blood drained from her face. What is this? What it looks like. I transferred the house to my sister. How? How dare you? Her voice trembled. The house was registered in my name. Now it's in Christina's name. Dmitri leaned back on the couch, crossed his legs, looking pleased with himself. This is illegal. You had no right. I had every right. You're my wife. Everything you have is ours, community property. I simply disposed of our jointly acquired assets. I found a lawyer. He handled everything. It's legal. Alina leafed through the documents with shaking hands. Signatures, stamps. It looked credible. But how? How could he have transferred the house without her consent? Christina deserves this house more than you do, Dmitri continued. She's blood, my sister. And you're just a wife. Wives come and go, but family stays forever. Linda nodded. That's right, son. No need for outsiders to be giving orders. We're family, and we should own everything. And her, she pointed at Alina, what did she do to deserve such a house? Nothing. Mommy gave it to her. Well, she should be grateful we're even keeping her here. Christina sat in the armchair, painting her nails and smiling. Thanks, brother. I knew you wouldn't let me down. Now I have my own house, big and beautiful. Alina stared at them, unable to speak. Her throat tightened, her vision blurred. I'll go to court. I'll challenge this. My mother gave me this house. It's my property. Dmitri laughed. Go ahead and challenge it. It'll take years and cost a fortune. And you don't have money. You spend it all on us. So either keep living here if you want, or leave. Your choice. And if you stay, Linda added, remember, this is Christina's house now. That means you'll obey her and me and Dmitri, of course. Understand? Alina stood on shaky legs. Her legs wouldn't hold her. She made it to the bedroom, locked herself in, sat on the bed. Her hands were trembling. She needed to call her mother. She needed to tell her. She pulled out her phone and dialed. Long rings. Valentina wasn't answering. Alina tried again. And again. Finally, she answered. Alina, what happened? It's late. Her daughter's voice broke. Mom, they took the house. Dmitri transferred it to his sister. He showed me documents. He says it's legal. Mom, what do I do? There was a long, heavy silence. Then her mother asked in an even, cold voice, Does he hit you? Alina froze. How did she know? No, he doesn't hit me. Don't lie. I can hear it in your voice. He hits you. Tears streamed down her face. Alina couldn't lie anymore. Yes, she admitted. Yes, he hits me. And his mother and sister are living in the house. They've taken over everything. I don't know what to do. I'm scared. Her mother exhaled. Listen to me carefully. Right now, you're not going anywhere. Lock the bedroom door. Go to sleep. Tomorrow morning I'll come. Wait for me. We'll figure everything out. But Mom. Hold on, honey. Everything will be okay. Alina put down the phone and broke into sobs. Fear, shame, relief, everything mixed together. Mom was coming. Mom would help. Finally, she blocked the door with a chair, lay down on the bed in her clothes. She couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned all night, listening to the sounds of the house. Beyond the wall, Dmitri and his mother were laughing. Upstairs, music was blasting. Christina was celebrating. In the morning, Alina got up early, washed, dressed, and waited. Her mother had promised to come, which meant she would. At 11 a.m., the doorbell rang. Linda went to answer it, muttering unhappily, "Who's that so early in the morning?" She opened the door and stopped short. On the threshold stood Valentina, tall, fit in a strict pantsuit. Her face was cold as ice, her gaze hard. "Hello," she said in an even voice. "I'm Alina's mother. Where is my daughter?" Linda stood in the doorway with her mouth open. Valentina looked at her with a cold gaze and repeated, "Where is my daughter?" "Oh, hello, Valentina. What a surprise. Come in, come in." Her mother-in-law fussed, trying to appear welcoming. Is Alina home? Of course. I'll get her. Alina, come here. Your mother is here. Alina ran out of the bedroom, saw her mother, and felt something inside her snap. All the accumulated tears, all the fear, all the exhaustion, everything burst out. She rushed to her mother, hugged her, buried her face in her shoulder. Valentina hugged her daughter, held her tightly, feeling how she trembled. Then she gently pushed her back, took her by the chin, made her look into her eyes. And she saw what she'd been afraid of seeing, a bruise under her eye that Alina had tried hard to cover with foundation, a gaunt face, thin cheeks, dark circles under her eyes, a frightened, lost look. Who did this? She asked quietly, but each word hit like a hammer. Mom, not now, Alina whispered, casting a frightened glance toward her mother-in-law. Who? Valentina repeated louder. Linda fussed even more. Valentina! Why jump straight to interrogation? Come to the kitchen. We'll have tea. I have fresh pie. You must be tired from the trip. I don't need tea or pie. I didn't come to visit. Valentina walked into the living room without even taking off her shoes, which shocked Linda. She surveyed the room with a sharp gaze. On the table still lay those very documents that Dmitri had shown yesterday. Dmitri emerged from the bedroom, sleepy in sweatpants and a faded t-shirt. His hair was messy, stubble on his face. He saw his mother-in-law and frowned. What are you doing here? Who invited you? My daughter invited me. I came to take her away from here. Take her away? How? Dmitri was even taken aback by the audacity. She's married. She has a husband, a family. You can't just take her. A husband who raises his hand to her. Valentina approached the table, picked up the documents, and began carefully studying them, flipping through the pages. Dmitri went pale. I don't hit her. She lied to you to get you to come here. Women love to exaggerate drama. Don't lie to me, boy. Valentina didn't even look at him, continuing to read the papers. I see the bruises on my daughter's face, and this clearly isn't the first time, judging by how she's behaving. She's afraid of you. Her mother looked up, frowning. And these fake documents of yours, did you really think I wouldn't check them? That I'd just swallow this? What do you mean fake? Dmitri raised his voice, trying to bluster his way through. Everything is legally processed. A verified lawyer did it. Fake. The stamp is wrong, not the right shape. The signatures are clearly forged. Even a non-expert can see it. The deed of gift has no legal force whatsoever. Valentina folded the papers neatly and put them in her purse. The house still belongs to my daughter and will belong only to her. From the stairs descended Christina, yawning and stretching. She wore a short nightshirt, her hair was messy. What's all the noise so early in the morning? Can't a person sleep? She saw Valentina and smirked insolently. Oh, mother-in-law came. Hello, Valentina. What a surprise. Hello, Christina. You're the sister they tried to transfer my daughter's house to. Not tried to, did transfer. Now it's my house. My legal house. Christina walked to the mirror in the hallway, started fixing her hair, clearly pleased with herself. It's not your house. The documents are fake, forged. Christina spun around sharply. What do you mean forged? Dmitri told me everything was clean, legally processed. Your Dmitri either deceived you all, or he himself fell for some cheap charlatan who calls himself a lawyer. Valentina turned to her daughter and took her hand. Alina, pack your things. Just the essentials. We're leaving right now. Where? Alina whispered, still not believing this was really happening. To a hotel for now. Then we'll figure it out. But you're not spending another second in this house with these people. Linda stepped forward sharply, blocking the way. You can't take her. She's married to my son. She has obligations to her husband, to the family. What obligations? Valentina's voice became even colder. To endure beatings? To work for 3 healthy freeloaders who don't contribute a penny to the house? To give her last dollars to your whims? She looked at her mother-in-law in a way that made her involuntarily step back. Get out of the way. Right now. I won't get out of the way. Linda stamped her foot. This is our house now. Dimitri did everything right, transferring it to Christina. She's family. She deserves a good life. Get out of the way. Valentina's voice became quieter, but even more menacing. Well, I'm asking politely. Don't test my patience. No, you're not going to boss people around here. This isn't your house. Linda spread her arms, blocking the path to the stairs that led to the bedroom. And then Valentina did something Alina never expected to see. Her mother, always restrained, always cold and businesslike, grabbed Linda by the shoulders with both hands and pushed her aside. Not hard, but decisively, leaving no doubt about her seriousness. Her mother-in-law lost her balance and plopped onto the couch with a loud shriek. Help! What are you doing? She hit me. Witnesses, you all saw it. She hit me. I didn't hit you. I pushed you. Those are completely different things, by the way. Valentina straightened her jacket. And if you get in my way again, it will be worse. Much worse. She turned to Christina, who was standing pressed against the wall. And you get out of the way. Don't interfere. Her sister-in-law backed into the hallway, fear clearly visible in her eyes. She certainly hadn't expected such determination from this always calm woman. Dimitri, seeing that his mother couldn't handle it, decided to intervene himself. He stepped forward sharply, trying to grab his mother-in-law by the arm, apparently deciding to physically push her out of the house. You've gone too far. Get out immediately or I'll call the police. But Valentina was ready. She instantly caught his wrist, turned his arm, and twisted it so that Dimitri cried out from the unexpected pain and involuntarily bent over, trying to ease the pressure. If you raise your hand to a woman in my presence again, I'll break it on the spot. Do you understand me? She held him for several more seconds, making sure he understood the seriousness of her words. Then she sharply let go. Dimitri staggered back, rubbing his red wrist, looking at his mother-in-law with hatred and fear at the same time. She hit my boy. My baby! Linda shrieked, jumping up from the couch. You all saw this attack. I'm going to the police. Go ahead and file. But I'll file too, against your son for beating my daughter. Then we'll see who's right. Valentina took Alina by the hand. Honey, show me to your room. We'll pack your things, just the essentials for now. They went upstairs to the bedroom and locked the door. Valentina looked around the room. Small, cramped, with worn furniture. She sat on the edge of the bed and patted the spot next to her. Sit next to me. We'll pack things now, but first tell me everything. Absolutely everything from the beginning. And don't you dare lie to me any more that everything is fine. And Alina told her everything. Words poured out in a stream. She couldn't stop anymore. About how problems started right after the wedding. How Linda came in the very first month and started bossing everyone around. How she gradually took over the entire house, occupied the best room. How Christina moved into the 3rd floor without permission, without even asking. How Dimitri changed literally before her eyes, became rude, harsh, indifferent. How he hit her for the first time 6 months ago when she asked for money for herself. How she worked 2 jobs from morning till night, paid for absolutely everything, utilities, food, everything, while they lived off her like parasites. How yesterday evening Dimitri showed her those cursed documents about transferring the house to his sister and threatened that if she told anyone, she'd regret it. She told the story, gasping through sobs. Sobbing. Valentina listened silently, not interrupting once. Her face grew harder with each new word. Her lips pressed together tighter and tighter. When Alina finally finished, her mother stood up, paced the room from wall to wall, then stopped at the window, looking into the yard for a long time, silently, apparently trying to control her rage. Finally, she slowly turned around. That's it. Not another second. Enough. You're not staying here anymore. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. But where will I go, Mom? I don't have anything. You do. You have me. You have money. You have lawyers. Valentina sat down next to her daughter and hugged her shoulders. First, we'll go to a hotel for a few days. Then we'll rent you a decent apartment. And we'll get this house back through court, through the prosecutor's office, through the police, it doesn't matter how. But we'll get it back. We definitely will. They packed in about 20 minutes. Just the essentials. Clothes, documents, cosmetics, phone. 2 bags. Alina looked around the bedroom one last time, where she'd spent so many nightmarish months, and realized she didn't feel sorry. Not sorry at all to leave here. They went downstairs. Dmitri, his mother, and sister were sitting in the living room, discussing something in quiet voices. Seeing them with bags, all 3 jumped up. Are you seriously leaving? Dmitri asked in disbelief. Yes, right now. Alina, you can't just up and leave. You're my wife. We're married. We're a family. I was your wife. I won't be any more. Alina was surprised by her own firm voice that cut through the fear. You'll regret this. I'll take half the house through court as community property acquired during marriage. I have every right. Just try, Valentina said coldly. The house was given to my daughter personally before your marriage, registered strictly in her name. You didn't put a single penny into it. On the contrary, you lived off her for a whole year. You have absolutely no rights to this house. They left the house and got in her mother's car. Alina looked back. Her house. And she was leaving. Mom, will we really get the house back? Definitely. I give you my word. They won't last a day longer than necessary there. They drove to downtown to a good hotel, rented a 2-bedroom, spacious, clean, with a view of the park. Alina sat on the bed, and it suddenly hit her. She was free. For the first time in a year, no one would yell at her, boss her around, or hit her. Valentina pulled out her laptop and phone and started making calls, organized and methodical, as she was used to solving business problems. First, to Valerie, a lawyer. Hello. I have an urgent situation with my daughter. Real estate fraud, forged documents, assault. Yes, I need an urgent consultation. Understood. Today at 6 p.m. at your office. I've noted it. Then to an acquaintance in the police, Michael. Good afternoon. I need urgent help. A case of assault and fraud. Yes, my daughter is the victim. Can you send an officer to document it? Tomorrow morning. Excellent. Then to a private detective, Igor. Igor, hi. Urgent job. I need verification of real estate documents. Suspected forgery of stamps and signatures. Yes, very urgent. I'm willing to pay double for speed. Alina sat on the bed and listened as her mother built a defense. She felt the weight gradually lifting from her soul. She wasn't alone. She had powerful support. 2 hours later, an officer arrived, a young lieutenant in his 30s in uniform, polite and attentive. He introduced himself as Alexei. He listened to Alina, asked questions, took down her statement. He asked to see the bruises. Alina took off her sweater and showed bruises on her arms and shoulder. The lieutenant photographed them on his work phone and documented everything. You absolutely need to undergo a medical examination. Go to the trauma center. A doctor will examine you there, officially document all injuries, and issue a certificate. That will be ironclad evidence in court. Valentina pulled those fake documents from her bag. Here are these papers, supposedly a deed of gift to her husband's sister. My daughter's signature is on it, but she swears she never signed anything like this. The lieutenant took the documents and studied them carefully, held them up to the light, and frowned. Yes, it does look suspicious. The notary stamp is blurry, the wrong shape. The signature clearly differs from the one in the passport. We definitely need an expert examination. He pulled out a form. Write a statement. I'll take these documents as material evidence. We'll send them for examination. If forgery is confirmed, we'll open a criminal case. Alina wrote a detailed statement about the assault, fraud, and illegal seizure of housing. The officer took the documents and promised to handle the case starting Monday. After he left, they went to the emergency room. The attending physician examined Alina carefully, documented 3 bruises on her arms, 1 large one on her shoulder, and an abrasion on her back. He measured the sizes, photographed them, described them in the chart, and issued an official certificate of assault. Valentina took the certificate and carefully filed it with the other documents. One more piece of evidence. Now, let's go to the lawyer. They arrived at Valerie's office at exactly 6 p.m. The lawyer met them in his office, a large space with a massive dark wood desk, leather chairs, and bookshelves lined with legal books reaching the ceiling. A man in his 50s, gray-haired, in an expensive suit with a penetrating gaze. He listened to the entire story from beginning to end without interrupting. From time to time, he'd nod or jot something in his notebook. When Alina finished, he leaned back in his chair and folded his hands. The situation is complicated, I won't lie, but absolutely solvable. Moreover, you have a very strong position. He took the documents Valentina had brought and began examining them through a magnifying glass. The house was given personally to your daughter by deed of gift, registered strictly in her name. The deed of gift clearly states, "This is the personal property of the donee, not subject to division in divorce." The donor is your mother, not the spouse. By law, this is not community property. The husband has no rights to it whatsoever. What about these fake papers? Valentina pointed to the deed. Valerie smirked. Forgery, and not even particularly high quality, crude work. The notary stamp is fake. Wrong shape, wrong font. The number doesn't even exist. The signature clearly doesn't match the samples from your daughter's passport. Different slant, different pressure. Any handwriting expert will show that in 2 days. So the house can be returned? Not just can be, it must be and will be. Valerie began writing an action plan. We file a lawsuit to declare the transaction void based on forged documents. In parallel, a statement to the prosecutor's office about fraud with a demand to open a criminal case. Also, a lawsuit to evict persons unlawfully residing in the house without right of use. How long will all this take? In a normal situation, 3 to 4 months minimum. Valerie saw how upset Alina was and raised his hand. But we don't have a normal situation. There's clear forgery, evidence of assault, actual seizure of someone else's housing. We can try going through preliminary measures, filing a motion to place a lien on the house as the subject of dispute. That's realistically doable in 1.5 to 2 months. They signed a contract with the lawyer. Valentina paid a substantial retainer immediately in cash from an envelope. Here's the advance. Start work immediately. I need results as quickly as possible. You'll get results, Valentina. I win cases like this with my eyes closed. Valerie stood and shook their hands. I'll file all the lawsuits and motions tomorrow. By the end of the week, we'll have the first results. The following days flew by in a whirlwind of activity. They searched for an apartment to rent, visited about 20 options, finally found a decent 1-bedroom on Maple Street, 5 minutes from downtown. 750 square feet, clean, furnished, well renovated. The landlady was reasonable, no unnecessary questions. $2,500 a month. Valentina rented it for 6 months right away, paid in advance. They moved in a week later, bought the minimum. Bedding, dishes, small items. They settled in quickly. Alina went back to work at the salon, explained she'd been sick with the flu. Her co-workers believed her, though they looked strangely at the bruises on her arms. Valentina set up to work remotely, video conferenced with her deputies, handled current issues online. but devoted most of her time to her daughter. She cooked, talked in the evenings, provided moral support. Dmitri called Alina 10 to 15 times a day. She never answered. He wrote long messages. "Forgive me. I didn't mean to. Come back. Let's discuss everything calmly. We don't need to divorce. We're family. I'll change. I promise. I'll never raise my hand again." Alina read them, silently deleted them, never responded. Linda also kept calling, crying into the phone. "My dear girl, why are you doing this? My boy can't find peace without you. He's so remorseful. Come back. We'll forgive everything. We'll live peacefully." Alina would listen for a minute, then silently hang up. Christina wrote angry messages. "You think you're so smart? The house will stay ours anyway. Other lawyers told us you're wasting money on attorneys. You'll lose anyway." Alina blocked her number. 2 weeks after filing the statements, a court summons arrived. The first hearing on the lawsuit to invalidate the transaction was scheduled for a month later. The document examination proceeded. Private Detective Igor found that very lawyer who supposedly processed the deed of gift. Turned out he was a petty criminal, already convicted of forgery. He gave testimony that Dmitri paid him $1,650 for fake papers. Police opened a criminal case against Dmitri under fraud charges. He was called in for questioning. He came with some cheap lawyer and tried to deny everything. "I thought the documents were real. I was deceived too. I didn't know anything." But there was enough evidence of his guilt. A month passed. The day of the first court hearing arrived. Alina was terribly nervous, barely slept the night before court. Valentina comforted her, stroking her head like she was a child. "Everything will be fine, honey. We have an ironclad case. Don't worry." They arrived at the courthouse half an hour early. Dmitri was already sitting in the hallway with his lawyer, a thin man in his 40s in a wrinkled suit. Next to them sat Linda, all in black with a tear-stained face. Christina wasn't there, apparently too scared to come. Seeing Alina, Dmitri jumped up and approached. "Alina, let's talk normally. Why drag this whole circus through court? Get away from me. Please, I really love you. I understand I was wrong, but let's fix everything." He tried to take her hand. Alina jerked her hand away sharply. "Get away," I said. "Don't touch me." Valentina stood between them like a wall. "One more step toward my daughter, and I'll call security and file a report for harassment." Dmitri clenched his fists but stepped back. He returned to his seat and sat down, looking at them angrily. Finally, they were called into the courtroom. The judge, a woman in her 50s with a stern face, heard both sides. Valerie spoke confidently, laying out all the evidence methodically. The deed of gift from mother to daughter, the expert examination of the forged new documents, the testimony of the criminal lawyer, the certificates of assault. Everything clear, logical, irrefutable. Dmitri's lawyer stumbled, trying to cite that they were married, so the house was communal. But the judge cut him off sharply. The deed of gift clearly states, personal property received by the donee as a gift from a third party, not the spouse. Have you read the Family Code, Article 3.6? Such property is not subject to division. Dmitri tried to give testimony to justify himself. "I invested in the house, did repairs, paid for everything." Valerie coolly presented all of Alina's receipts, bank statements proving that only she paid. "Where's your proof of investment? Receipts, checks, transfers? Nothing?" "Exactly." The hearing lasted almost 4 hours. Finally, the judge retired to deliberate and returned 40 minutes later. "All rise. Court is in session." Everyone stood. Alina squeezed her hands so hard her knuckles turned white. The judge began reading the decision in a cold, official tone. The lawsuit of Alina Thompson to invalidate the deed of gift transaction is granted in full. The deed of gift dated date is declared invalid due to established document forgery and absence of the owner's consent. Christina Thompson is obligated within 10 calendar days to vacate the occupied dwelling and transfer the keys to the lawful owner. Alina exhaled. Her legs gave out from relief. Valentina squeezed her hand tightly. Victory, honey. Victory. But the judge wasn't finished. The counter-lawsuit of Dimitri Thompson to recognize the dwelling as community property acquired during marriage and divide it in equal shares is dismissed in full. The dwelling at address is recognized as the personal property of Alina Thompson, received by her as a gift from her mother by deed of gift. Dimitri Thompson has no rights to said property. His claims are unfounded. Dimitri jumped from his seat, red as a beet. This is unfair. I live there. That's my family. Sit down, the judge commanded coldly. The court's decision is final and not subject to appeal regarding eviction deadlines. They left the courtroom. Alina cried with happiness and relief. Valerie shook their hands. Congratulations. Excellent result. In 10 days, the house will be yours. Dimitri ran out after them and approached. But you understand they have nowhere to go now. My mother, my sister. Well, give us at least a month to find decent housing. No, 10 days per court order. Not a day more. Dimitri, step away immediately, Valentina pulled out her phone. Or do you want me to additionally file a report for harassment and threats? We'll add another charge to the criminal fraud case. He looked at them with rage and helplessness. You'll regret this. All of you will regret this. That's a threat in front of witnesses. Valentina raised her voice. I heard everything and I'm recording. Repeat that again for the record. Dimitri spat on the floor and walked away. Linda hobbled after him, sobbing into a handkerchief. The 10 days dragged on painfully. Alina imagined what they might do to her house out of spite. Vandalize, break things, steal something. She slept poorly, was nervous. Valentina calmed her. Whatever they do, we'll recover the damages through court later. Don't worry. The main thing is we're evicting them. Finally, the 11th day arrived. Alina, Valentina, and Valerie arrived at the house early in the morning. The house stood quiet and empty. Dimitri's car wasn't at the gate. Alina opened the door with her key. They went inside. The house really was empty. All personal belongings were gone. The furniture that had been there originally remained, but all the other furnishings, dishes, decor, paintings, rugs, everything was gone. In the living room, on a white wall, was an inscription in black marker in large letters. This house was ours. You'll regret this anyway. Alina looked at the inscription and unexpectedly laughed. Exhausted but relieved. I'll paint over it tomorrow. Or actually, I'll re-wallpaper the whole thing. Valentina hugged her daughter's shoulders. That's it, honey. The house is yours again. Now you can live in peace. They called a professional cleaning service. The team cleaned the house for 2 full days, washed everything to a shine, cleaned the carpets and upholstered furniture. The house sparkled with cleanliness. Then Alina hired a crew of workers. They did a quick cosmetic renovation, painted the walls where the inscriptions were, re-wallpapered 2 bedrooms, replaced a broken mirror. They worked for a week. 2.5 weeks after the court decision, the house was completely ready. Alina moved back into her house. Valentina helped her unpack, get settled. They set everything up quickly. Well, that's it, honey. You're home. In your own home. Finally. Yes, Mom. I'm home. Alina looked around and breathed in deeply. Freedom. Her space. No one would boss her around, humiliate her or hit her anymore. I have to go back to my city soon, Valentina said with regret. Business has really piled up. My partners are calling every day, but I'm always available. Any problems, call immediately. Okay, Mom. Alina hugged her mother tightly. Thank you for everything. Another week passed. Alina settled into the house, returned to normal life. worked at the salon, met with friends, walked in the evenings, gradually establishing a routine. Valentina was preparing to leave in a couple days, but one evening, as they sat on the porch with tea watching the sunset, her mother suddenly said, "You know, I've been thinking. I should check on your ex-husband, see how they settled after the eviction." "Why, Mom?" Alina was surprised. "Pure curiosity. And I want to make sure personally that he no longer poses any threat to you, that they really moved out permanently and aren't planning to show up here again. They found the address through mutual acquaintances. Turned out Dmitri with his mother and sister were now crammed into Linda's old apartment on the far outskirts of town. That same two-bedroom on the 5th floor with no elevator, where Alina had first met her fiancé's parents. They drove there the next day in the afternoon, climbed the stairs on foot, 5 floors up the stinking stairwell with peeling walls, rang the doorbell. Linda opened. Seeing them on the threshold, she went pale as a sheet. "Why did you come? You want to mock us some more?" "We decided to check in," Valentina replied completely calmly. "Make sure you really moved out of the house and settled here. May we come in for a minute?" Linda didn't have time to answer. Valentina had already stepped over the threshold, surveying the apartment with an attentive eye. Cramped, stuffy, smelling of mustiness and something sour. Old wallpaper, peeling in places. Soviet-era furniture, beat up. In the small room, Dmitri sat on a sagging couch, unshaven, in a dirty undershirt, hair unwashed, staring at his phone. Christina lay on a cot by the window, also on her phone, in a worn-out pajamas. Valentina slowly surveyed this picture of poverty and wretchedness. Then she turned to her daughter, standing next to her in a beautiful dress, well-groomed, happy. And then she uttered that very phrase, loudly, distinctly, with icy calm in her voice. "Honey, why aren't you living in the house I gave you?" Dead silence fell. Linda froze with her mouth open. Dmitri slowly lifted his head from his phone and stared at them. Christina froze, not bringing her hand with the phone to her face. Alina smiled calmly, confidently, with dignity. "We're living in the house, Mom. We moved back into our home." "Into my home?" She swept her gaze over the miserable apartment of these 3 losers. "And these people, they're living here, where they belong." Dmitri slowly rose from the couch. His face turned crimson. What are you doing here?" "We decided to check in," Valentina replied calmly, "to see how you've settled in. So, do you like it in this apartment?" Linda grabbed the doorframe. "You're mocking us. We're here because of you." "Because of us?" Alina stepped forward. "You drove yourselves into this hole. You wanted to steal what wasn't yours and got what you deserved." Christina jumped up from the cot. "Shut up. That was our house. Dmitri had every right." "He had no right. Never had any right." Valentina turned toward the door. "Alina, let's go. There's nothing to breathe here." They left the apartment. The door slammed behind them with a crash. They went down the stairs, walked outside. Alina breathed in deeply. How disgusting it is there. That's their choice. They brought themselves to this. Valentina hugged her daughter's shoulders. "And we have a different life. A good life." "Yes, Mom, we have a good life." They got in the car and drove home to their house. Spacious, bright, clean. A week later, Valentina left for her city. Alina stayed alone in the house, but she was a different Alina, strong, confident. She continued working at the salon, meeting with friends. Life was getting back on track. A month later, the lawyer called. "Alina, good news. Dmitri agreed to the divorce. No claims, no disputes. Sign the papers, and in 2 months you'll be free." "Really?" "He just agreed." Yes, apparently he realized he'd lost completely. Alina signed the documents. 2 months passed quickly. The divorce was finalized. She received the certificate of dissolution of marriage and felt incredible relief. Free. Officially, legally free. The criminal case against Dmitri was closed. He got a suspended sentence, 2 years and an $8,300 fine. 6 months passed since the divorce. Life was settling down. Work, home, meetings with friends. Alina joined a gym, started seeing a therapist. The therapist helped her work through the trauma of what she'd experienced. You did great leaving. Many people endure for years. I almost became one of them, Alina admitted. But you didn't. You found the strength to ask for help. Dmitri tried calling several times. Alina declined the calls. Then he sent a message. Forgive me. Let's try again. She deleted it and blocked his number. Linda wrote, Dear Alina, my boy is suffering without you. He'll change. Alina blocked her too. Christina tried approaching her on the street. Come on, no hard feelings. Can I come visit? Alina looked at her coldly. No, and don't approach me again. She turned and walked away. A year passed since the divorce. Alina had changed, looked better, blossomed. She worked out, took care of herself, felt like a different person. Men showed interest in her. She politely declined. Not ready yet. She needed time. Then a client came into the salon. A man about 30, tall, athletic, in a business suit. He made an appointment for a haircut. The stylist was sick, so Alina cut his hair herself. They got to talking. Turned out his name was Andrew. He worked as an architect. He talked interestingly with humor. Alina caught herself enjoying his company. When she finished, Andrew asked, Can I book an appointment with you for next month? Of course. Call anytime. He came back a month later. They talked again about travel, books, life. When they finished, he asked, Alina, can I invite you for coffee? She hesitated. I don't know. Just coffee. No obligations. I enjoyed talking with you. Okay, but just coffee. They met at a cafe that evening and talked for 2 hours. Andrew talked about his project, his team, showed interest in her life, but didn't pry. When they parted, he asked, Can we meet again? We can, but slowly. I recently got divorced. I need time. I understand. No rush. They started meeting once a week, going to movies, museums, walking. Andrew was patient, didn't rush her. After 3 months, Alina invited him home and introduced him to her mother. Valentina came to visit for the weekend. Her mother met Andrew warily, asking about his work, his family. Andrew answered calmly, openly. After dinner, her mother said, He seems like a decent guy, but take a good look. Don't rush. I'm not rushing, Mom. Learning from my mistakes. 6 months later, Alina told Andrew about her marriage, about Dmitri, about the abuse, about how she almost lost her house. Andrew listened without interrupting, then took her hand. You're very brave. Not everyone can get out of a situation like that. I'm proud of you. And know this, I'm not like that. I'll never raise my hand to you, never humiliate you. I promise. I'm scared to trust again. I understand. I'll wait as long as it takes. 8 months later, Andrew moved into the house, taking one of the bedrooms. They lived together. Andrew turned out to be caring, respectful. He helped around the house, cooked, never raised his voice. A year later, Andrew proposed. They were sitting on the porch, drinking wine, watching the sunset. Alina, I want to marry you. Really? Absolutely. I love you. I want to be with you for the rest of my life. She was scared, but Andrew was different. In a year and a half, he hadn't once hurt or insulted her. Okay, but no big wedding. Quiet. Whatever you say. They registered 2 months later. Only close family. They celebrated modestly at a restaurant. Her mother cried with happiness. Finally, you're truly happy. Yes, Mom. Andrew turned out to be a good husband, reliable, caring, respectful of Alina, consulting with her. A year later, she got pregnant. At first she was scared, but Andrew was thrilled. This is wonderful. We'll have a child. The pregnancy went smoothly. Andrew was attentive, helpful, went to all the ultrasounds. Valentina moved in with them permanently, sold her business, closed her company. I want to be with my daughter and grandchildren. 9 months later, Alina gave birth to a son. They named him Max, a healthy boy. Andrew cried when he held his son for the first time. They came home as a family of 3. Life revolved around the baby. Andrew helped, got up at night, rocked him, changed diapers. Valentina was the best grandmother. She watched Max, cooked, helped. Alina felt happy. She had everything: a loving husband, a healthy child, a caring mother, her own home. When Max turned 1, there was a knock at the door. Alina opened it. On the doorstep stood Linda, aged, hunched, in a cheap coat. "Alina, can I come in?" "No. What do you want?" "To talk. I want to apologize." "We have nothing to talk about." "Please, 5 minutes." Alina stepped outside on the porch. "Talk here. Quickly." Linda looked at the house with longing. "Beautiful house. I remember how we lived here." "You lived here illegally. You seized what wasn't yours." "I know. I'm guilty. Forgive me." Alina looked at her. This woman had turned her life into hell for a year. "No, I won't forgive you. Leave." Linda stood there, then shuffled toward the gate. Alina watched without pity. She went back inside. Andrew was playing with Max. "Who came?" "My former mother-in-law. She asked for forgiveness." "Did you forgive her?" "No, she didn't earn it." 3 more years passed. Max grew up, started daycare. Alina gave birth to a daughter, Sophia. Her business expanded. Alina opened a 2nd salon location, then a 3rd. She became a successful entrepreneur. Andrew got promoted, became a project manager. Valentina helped with the children, was their rock. They lived happily in the big house with love. Dmitri didn't call anymore. Alina found out he was still living with his mother in that apartment, working as a loader, drinking in the evenings. Christina had moved to another city, but things hadn't worked out there either. Alina felt no triumph, just indifference. Their paths had diverged forever. When Max turned 5, he asked, "Mom, did you have another husband before Dad?" "Yes, a long time ago. But he was a bad person. And Dad is good. The best." "What about that bad one? Where is he?" "Far away. And he'll never come here." "Good." Max hugged his mom and ran off to play. Another 5 years passed. Max was 10, Sophia was 7. They grew up in love in a good family. Alina opened a 4th salon location, planning a franchise. Andrew became a partner in his firm. They lived in the same house. They updated it, renovated, but didn't sell it. It was her mother's gift, a symbol of new life. Valentina, at 73, was still energetic, helping with the grandchildren. One evening they sat on the porch, the children playing in the yard. "You know," Alina said, "sometimes I think about what would have happened if I hadn't called you that day." "Mom, don't think about it. You called. That's what matters. But I endured for so long." "You were scared. That's normal. The main thing is you found the strength." Andrew took Alina's hand. "You're very brave." "Not brave. Just lucky." "Not lucky," Valentina said. "You made a choice. You called. You asked for help. That was your choice, and you did great." Another 10 years passed. Max was 20, studying architecture at university. Sophia was 17, dreaming of medicine. Valentina passed away at 82, peacefully in her sleep. Alina buried her mother, cried, but knew Mom had lived a good life, a happy one, saw her grandchildren happy. Andrew was still by her side. 27 years together, loved her just as strongly. Alina expanded her business to 10 locations, launched a cosmetics line, created a charitable foundation for women affected by domestic violence. She funded shelters, lawyers, psychologists. She knew what she'd been through and wanted to help others. She lived in that same house. The children visited, grandchildren came. The house was full of life, laughter, love. Sometimes she remembered Dmitri. She found out 2 years ago that he'd died. Cirrhosis, he drank himself to death. Alina felt no pity, just noted that he'd lived his life, a bad one, but his. And she'd lived hers. Good, happy, full of meaning. When she sat on the porch in the evening, looking at the garden, she was happy. Because she got out. Because she didn't give up. Because she found the strength to call her mother. One phone call changed everything. One phone call saved her life. Now she helped other women make that call, find the strength, get out. One day, a young woman came to her foundation, about 25, with bruises, frightened. Help me. My husband beats me. I don't know what to do. Alina sat her down, gave her tea, listened to her story, the same as hers. I'll help. Everything will be okay. I promise. And she did help. Paid for lawyers, placed her in a shelter, provided support. The woman divorced, reclaimed her life. A year later, she came back to say thank you. You saved me. Thank you. Alina hugged her. You saved yourself. You found the strength to ask for help. And she remembered how she herself once found that strength, called her mother, asked for help. That was the turning point, the beginning of a new life. Now Alina was 52. Grandchildren had grown, children were happy. Andrew was still by her side, loved her the same. She ran the foundation, had helped hundreds of women. She lived in the house, that very one she'd almost lost. And when she looked at her mother's photo on the mantel, she whispered, "Thank you, Mom, for coming that day, for saving me." And she knew her mother heard. Every woman deserves happiness. Every woman deserves a home where she's loved, not beaten and humiliated. That was her mission now, and she would continue it to the end. Because she knew, one phone call can change everything. One phone call can save a life.